Good evening, everyone. I'm hereby calling this December 14th meeting of Lancaster City Council to order. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you to my council colleagues. A couple of quick orders of business. You are being recorded. The meeting is being live streamed by city staff, as you'll see to your left. Take this moment to silence your cell phones if they are not already silenced or turned off. And please keep all public comments to 3 minutes and begin with your name and the block of your residence. And one more time, all public comments are to be made from the podium unless otherwise designated. Let's go ahead, just a second here. Okay, yeah, that was all the business we had. So, to start, that is. So, if you are willing and able, please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Harris, if you would please call the roll of members.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Arroyo. Ms. Baque?
Here.
Ms. Craig?
Here.
Ms. Diaz?
Here.
Mr. Garcia Molina?
Here.
Mr. Soto?
Here.
And President Smith-Waddell?
Here, Councilor Arroyo is excused this evening. That brings us to the approval of the minutes for November 23rd, 2021. I'll hear a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council comments on the minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Ms. Baque?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina?
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell?
Aye. That brings us to proclamations, honors, awards, and resolutions of recognition. Do we have any tonight, Mr. Harris?
We do, Mr. President. First one is resolution number 59.
All right.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lancaster condemning the recent damage of the Penn Square menorah and the rising anti-Semitism of our community and our world, and declaring Lancaster a city that respects all of its residents.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We discussed this a little bit at the committee meeting. It is simply a resolution, well, not simply a resolution, but a resolution which condemns anti-Semitism and white nationalism and establishes Lancaster City Council as resolving to stand in solidarity with our Jewish friends, and neighbors. That is the general content of the resolution. Council comments from the public. Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Baker?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Thank you all. We will have copies of the resolution sent to Congregation Sherry Shemayim and, and to JCAL, the Jewish Community Association of Lancaster. Ms. Davis, was it pertinent to the resolution?
Does that go online for everyone to read?
Yes, it actually should already be online with the agenda now, but it will become part of the official record, and yes. Do we have any others, Mr. Harris?
We do, Mr. President.
Yep.
The second one is resolution number 60, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Lancaster recognizing the recent passing from this life of John C. Lyons and Anthony Zygmunt, who served the city and fellow residents as city councilors, and honoring their contributions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. As Mr. Harris mentioned, and as was discussed in the most recent committee meeting, we just wanted to take a moment to honor a couple of our council colleagues who preceded us in the work and brought us to the place where we're able to do the good work that we are able to do with you. It is worthwhile, I think, to acknowledge those who have gone before. And so that's why we have this resolution. Council comments.
Council President, I met John Lyons while I served on the planning committee. He was always very helpful to me in understanding the things that happened during planning meetings. He held my hand for about a year, so sorry to see him not here.
Indeed. Mr. Lyons was well known and well liked. In fact, I'm told that that's true of both of our passed on council colleagues. So thank you for that, Councilor Craig. Any other council comments? Any other comments from the public? Mr. Dastra.
Yeah, I'll comment, or Tony Dasher, 757 New Holland Avenue. I'll comment on John briefly because he held me after a planning commission meeting because of my hot head, and he was trying to encourage me in a positive direction. So it is frustrating that he has met an early end. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? All right, hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Baker?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. We've done this once previously, but I think it's only appropriate. Councilors, if you would join me in just a moment of silence. Thank you. We go then to the first public comment period reserved for those persons who have contacted the city clerk prior to the meeting. Do we have any, Mr. Harris?
We do not tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. We go then to reports requested by council. Do we have any, Mr. Harris?
We do not, Mr. President.
Thank you. That brings us to reports of council committees from the committee meeting on December 6, 2021. We begin with the Public Safety Committee. Councilor Garcia Molina.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is nothing to report.
Thank you, Councilor. Public Works, Councilor Soto.
Thank you, Council President. The Public Works Committee did not meet on December 6th. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councilor. Economic Development, Councilor Arroyo.
Thank you, Council President. Just a brief report. We did give a brief update on the ARPA funds, announcing that we will be releasing an RFP for a consultant to help with the guidelines, and then more of the process will be coming in the new year. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilor. Finance, Councilor Beke.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met on Monday, December 6th. On the agenda were 5 items. Bill number 26, appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funds to the general fund for revenue replacement, and Bill 27, appropriating funds from the general fund to the internal service fund. Those will come up for their first reading later this evening. Bills 24, 25, and Resolution 65, adopting a city budget, setting the 2022 real estate tax rate, and setting the 2022 solid waste and recycling fees, were covered during a presentation made by Patrick Hopkins, the Director of Administrative Services. Highlights of the budget include no real estate tax rate increase, largely due to the American Rescue Plan funds, which allow for revenue replacement, savings from bond refinancing, rebounding earned income tax revenues, and strong real estate transfer revenues. No fee increases are proposed in either of the stormwater or sewer funds. In the water fund, increases in revenue reflect ongoing PUC rate cases for customers who live outside of the city and ongoing capital investments being made. In the solid waste and recycling fund, an increase for all customers of $4 per quarter is proposed, which is directly due to increases in hauler, tipping, and transfer fees. The total combined operating budgets are $131,167,449. Just over half of that is in the general fund. In the general fund, 46% of that revenue comes from property taxes. On the expense side, in the general fund, 47% goes towards salaries and 31% to benefits. Mr. Hopkins detailed the increase of medical claim costs over the past several years. In 2021, claims due to COVID-19 are expected to end the year at about $400,000. Medical claims in general can be unpredictable. Funds are placed into the Internal Services Fund for each department to cover those costs, and in some years they have carryover from one year to the next, and other years they end in a deficit. After several years of deficit, there is need to appropriate additional funds to the Internal Services Fund. This addresses Bill 27, which again will come up later this evening for a first reading. Mr. Hopkins also discussed the city's pension obligations from the police, fire, and non-uniformed employees. While overall, those obligations are rising, state pension aid, the amount of money we receive from the state to help cover those costs, has gone down. While we don't yet know what that amount will be for 2022, the budget assumes that the aid will stay flat. The 2022 proposed budget includes use of revenue funds, use of reserve funds of about $2.2 million. It is important to note that in previous years, the city has been able to use less reserve funds than planned due to bond refinancing, vacancies, and careful spending. This year, the amount of reserve funds in the budget has been offset by the American Rescue Plan Act revenue replacement funds. Without those funds, reserve balances in the 5-year budget projections decline much more steeply. The full budget presentation and proposed budget document are available online at the city's website. Next week, I will make an interim report covering the budget hearings that were held just a few days ago on Saturday, December 11th. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilor Beke. We go then to the Community Planning Committee. Councilor Craig.
Thank you, Council President. Community Planning did meet on the 6th of December. We had one item on the agenda, which was Administration Resolution number 61, 2021, amending the sewer control plan to include the project at 342 to 344 West Orange Street. This topic will come up again later during the meeting. That concludes community planning.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. We go then to Personnel. Councilor Diaz, please.
Yes, Mr. President. The Personnel Committee met December 6th to review nominations for appointments to the following boards, commission, authorities: City Revitalization Improvement Zoning Authority, the Noise Control Board, Lancaster City Housing Authority, Human Relations Commission, Higher Education Authority, Historical Architectural Review Board, Planning Commission, and Zoning Hearing Board. Those appointments are in the agenda for tonight. Appointments for nomination. I'm making a motion for the following appointments. John Reed for reappointment to the City Revitalization Improvement Authority for the term of January the 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2027. The following is Daniel Falcone for appointment for the City Revitalization and Improvement Zoning Authority for the term of January 6, 2022 to January 6 to 2026.
Could I make a motion to table that one to January 11th? For the purposes that this is an individual that hasn't provided us the opportunity to engage in a conversation. And I think as a body that is meant to approve these nominations, if it's a new appointment, we should have the opportunity to engage. So I'd like to see him have the opportunity to come before us, before council.
Okay, there's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Council comments on the motion to table.
Council President, I just want to clarify that this is for Daniel Falcone.
Yes, Councilor Bakay.
Okay.
He's the only one that hasn't come before us in the list that's of new appointments. And I would just like the opportunity to engage in a conversation with anyone who's come in before us for nominations.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
Are there any other council comments? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. President. On the motion to table Mr. Falcone's appointment, Mr. Arroyo,
No.
Ms. Bakay,
No.
Ms. Craig,
No.
Ms. Diaz,
Yay. Yes.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto,
Aye.
and President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Mr. Harris, would you be so kind as just to draft an email to Mr. Falcone, letting him know that council, I presume, I can't say for sure, but council supports his appointment and would just love the opportunity to meet with him and talk with him in person. I personally appreciate it. Okay, Councilor Diaz, please continue.
Okay. The next reappointment would be Ronald E. Ashby to the Noise Control for the term of February 1st, 2022 to February 1st, 2027. Scott S. Gardner for the reappointment of Noise Control Board for the term of February 1st, 2022 to February 1st, 2027. Michael Spranger for the reappointment to the Lancaster City Housing Authority for a term of November 1st, 2021 to November 21st, 2026. Louise Williams for the appointment of the Human Relations Commission for a term of November the 11th, 2021 to September 30th, 2024. Kendra Sanders for appointment to the Higher Education Authority for a term of November 10th, 2021 to January 1st, 2023. Kerr Hess Strauss for the appointment of the Historical Architectural Review Board for a term of December 14th, 2021 through December 31st, 2022. Nicole L. Salford for the appointment as a regular at-large member to the Planning Commission for the term from December 31st, 2021 to December 31st, 2023. And Tony Dastra for the appointment as an alternate member to the Planning Commission for a term from December 31st, 2021 to December 31st, 2025. Appointments to the zoning hearing boards are on the agenda as a resolution, and I do know that currently Tony Dastra wanted to address City Council for a few seconds.
Councilor Diaz?
Yes.
I just want to give other councilors an opportunity to second your collective motion.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay, please proceed. My apologies.
Oh, my goodness.
Not the least regular thing we've had at a council meeting. Yeah.
Thank you. To the people of the city of Lancaster, I want to take this moment to thank not only council for their anticipated approval of myself for an alternate position on the Planning Commission, but also the mayor for her nomination. With this, I feel that my contributions to the city have been recognized. Years of work and dedication to the city, personal funds that I have expended on equipment in the thousands, and the knowledge of systems I have learned, this is the sort of opportunity I have waited for. Frankly, I've looked forward to my entire life. I've never been the popular kid. I've always been the weird one. Expressing myself has never been something I have been afraid of, but I have experienced the downsides. Sometimes when I speak, I wonder if I'm making sense to anyone, but I also know that at times I've said the thing that was on everyone's mind. I have a sharp tongue, a hot head, and quick feet, but I won't run from a challenge. It ain't easy for single parents, let alone single moms, and I can't imagine what my mom would have said when I was 15 if someone had told her to show face at a meeting or keep her opinion to herself. These were the days when my mom was working at Vanguard and was also working in direct sales, but she was also working third shift at Waffle House, where she met my stepfather. I remember her telling me how it wasn't so bad being awake for more than 24 hours straight. I know she was lying. The reality for me is that those who are not employed or maintain responsibilities in a process need to be consistently open to new ideas and criticism, even at the 11th hour. In this building, I have been at highs and lows. Many on the dais have seen these moments firsthand. I've drugged what felt like my corpse into this building at times because I remind myself that to be able to attend these meetings is not easy for everyone, and furthermore, participation doesn't always feel like it matters. I'm here to tell you all it does. Showing up when you can matters. 20% of my life has passed by here, and if I stay alive and involved when I'm 30, that will be 33%, and when I'm 40, 50%. I began studying urban planning because I want to be an advocate for this community, not pursue a career, but I'll try. I want this city to thrive. I want this city to be a place where those without a house still feel at home and have an opportunity. A place where people can ride their bikes in the street safely or wait for the bus comfortably. And a place where people don't have to walk with their keys clutched between their knuckles at night. We can't simply react. We have to be proactive. Surveillance and policing is not the solution to fixing the woes of our constructed environments. Bullets don't unfire, blood doesn't unshed, and no one comes back to life. The opportunity to serve on this body in the middle of a comprehensive plan is literally a dream come true. I truly never expected it. With this, I suppose I am no longer the public at public meetings. It is my goal to involve the public because I do believe that together we can. We have to. Iron sharpens iron, and I find that every day I have something new to learn. Again, I thank council and the administration for this opportunity, and I look forward to hitting the ground running in the relay race of human progress. I hope that my participation here helps lay the groundwork for our descendants to live in a true shining city, no longer simply on a hill, but ascending into the stars. We will only reach our highest ground together. Thank you for your time this evening. Your goofy gold goose, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. All right, as it stands, there is a motion and a second on the table for the nominations made by Councilor Diaz. Council comments on the nominations.
Council President, if I may.
Please.
An overall kind of collective thank you to everyone who's coming on to these bodies. But Tony, I just wanted to say that I heard you say that you're proud of yourself. And I think you should be proud of yourself, but also I'm proud of you. I feel like I see you more than I see a lot of my friends sometimes, which just goes to show how dedicated you are to the city. And I think that you've put in the work, and your kind of lens that you bring to this work is unique and much needed. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you very much. Any other council comments? Any other comments from the public on the nominations? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. President. A vote on the appointment of various members to boards, commissions, and authorities with the exception of Daniel Falcone. Mr. Arroyo,
Aye.
Ms. Beke,
Aye.
Ms. Gregg,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto,
Aye.
and President Smith Waddell.
Aye. Thank you, Councilor Diaz.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to legislative agenda heading B, the Historic District. Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. President. Considering the following applications and recommendations from the Historical Architectural Review Board for improvements to properties within the Historic District. A, Esch Custom Homes, owner of 535 to 537 Church Street, rear, requests partial demolition of a one-story brick garage facing Howard Avenue. And B, Cedric D. Steiner, owner of 318 East Orange Street, requests removal of a modern brick planting bed and reconstruction of the front entry steps. And both of those applications were recommended for approval by the Historical Architectural Review Board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
All right, councilors, we have a motion and a second on the two Historic District items. First, are there any staff? No, okay. Are there any council comments on the combined motion? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo,
Aye.
Ms. Beke,
Aye.
Ms. Gregg,
Aye.
Ms. Diaz,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto,
Aye.
President Smith Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. That brings us to heading C, ordinances for first reading, Administration Bill number 26, 2021.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, establishing appropriations of $3,157,776 of American Rescue Plan Act proceeds received in 2021, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect as provided by Pennsylvania law.
Councilor Beke.
Thank you very much. So we discussed this at our committee meeting on the 6th, and I touched on it in my report. But essentially, what this bill does is allow us to use a designated portion of American Rescue Plan Act funds for revenue replacement, which is an authorized use. The amount was based on our 2020 audit, which was finalized, and we had a report on that back in September or October. So this is separate from any revenue replacement that is in the proposed budget. This is for this year.
Thank you, Councilor Beke. Are there any council comments on the ordinance for first reading? Are there any staff comments or comments from the public on the ordinance? Okay, hearing none, we will move then to Administration Bill number 27, 2021. Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. President. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lancaster, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, establishing appropriations of $1,500,000 of general fund reserves, providing for the repeal of inconsistent ordinances, providing for the severability of the ordinance, and providing that the ordinance shall take effect as provided by Pennsylvania law.
Councilor Beke.
Thank you again. So again, I mentioned this in my report. This bill would appropriate funds from the general fund to the Internal Services Fund, which is where we pay our medical claims from. In some years, the funds have a balance remaining. In other years, there's a deficit because healthcare claims are very unpredictable. At the end of 2020, there would be a deficit, so these funds are needed to replenish that Internal Services Fund.
Thank you, Councilor Beke. Are there any other council comments on the ordinance for first reading? Are there any comments from the public on the ordinance?
With this, we have $14 million.
Ivan,
No,
name and
let
block,
me
please.
request $14 million for the,
Still need your name and block, Ivan, every time.
oh, my name. My name is Ivan Acosta Velez. I live at 804 Highland Avenue.
Please proceed.
Okay. Isn't there, Mr., where is he? I should give you that. Isn't there $14 million for to cover this, or is that to cover all the funds that?
Yeah, you're going to have to share that one.
So there are, at the end of 2020 in the audit, there is just over $15 million of fund balance reserve in the general fund. We're estimating at the end of 2021 that the internal service fund will have a fund balance of just about zero. And so the idea is transferring dollars from the general fund reserve into the internal service fund so that we have a reserve for medical claims going forward.
Okay, but you had said, was it last week, if I wasn't mistaken, that if we continue like this, we're gonna take from that 14 million or 15 now to cover this stuff? Or was that my misunderstanding?
So there are two separate things going on. One is to provide funds as a reserve within the internal service fund. But then in the 2022 budget, we have also increased a number of line items to put more funds on an ongoing basis into the internal service fund to cover ongoing claims costs.
Okay, but what you said also was what year would be running, that money would be all gone and we would be running into a deficit?
Okay, so what you're referring to, I think, is the general fund itself. Over a 5-year period, if there are no other changes in revenue structure that we are provided by the state, if there are no changes in expenses other than the annual growth in our expenses, and when the American Rescue Plan Act funding runs out at the end of 2024, we would have a significant deficit and negative fund balance in the general fund. Two separate things from the internal service.
Okay, 2 separate things. Are we projecting what that'll be? Because that'll be part of this.
Yeah. Yes, and that information is in the budget overview presentation that I presented on December 6th, and there's a chart, actually a couple charts in that presentation which are on the city website.
Okay, so you don't have an idea what that'll be? It will be there, but I mean, you don't have anything that you can state publicly now?
Yes, that's what I presented at December 6th meeting, and that 5-year projection is included in that presentation with very specific numbers about projections for that fund balance deficit in the general fund.
Mr. Acosta-Velez, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and make your comment just so we don't have a long back and forth between the two of you.
My concern is, we need to look at this because your deficit is my deficit, and I live in this city. So we need to look at those numbers because we continue to play hardball, and we're with this amount of money, and that we're not looking that in 4 or 5 years, we'll be in a deficit. You know, so we need to look at it, and that's all I'm asking. And the numbers are not adding up.
Are there any other public comments on the ordinance? Okay. Hearing none, I will move us to resolutions, beginning with Administration Resolution Number 61, 2021. Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. President. A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster approving the adoption of an amendment to the Act 537 Official Sewage Facilities Plan for the City of Lancaster.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the resolution. Councilor Craig?
Thank you, Council President. As Douglas so eloquently explained to us at committee meeting, when we see these sewer modules, it's typically for land development that is taking place in this case, it's a subdivision of 2 lots that will be cut in half to make 4. No development is taking place on these lots at this time. A requirement from the state is that we have a sewer plan module in place for future development. that will eliminate having to go to the DEP at a later date. These lots front on West Orange and West Grant Street, and these plans are put in place to assure adequate sewage services to prevent contaminating the waters of the Commonwealth and alleviating environmental health hazards.
Thank you, Councilor Craig. Are there any comments from council on the resolution? Are there any comments from staff or the public on the resolution? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Roya?
Aye.
Ms. Baker?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Thank you all. That brings us to Council Resolution number 62, 2021. Mr. Harris.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster appointing Christopher Aviles, 611 High Street, as a member of the City of Lancaster Zoning Hearing Board for a 3-year term effective January 1, 2022.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Diaz.
Christopher Olivas will be in the zoning hearing board, and I do not believe he is here to speak.
No.
So we can move forward with that.
Okay. Any other council comments on the nomination? From the public? Hearing none, Mr. Harris?
Wait, there is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, Reverend.
Good evening. I'd just like to say on this nomination that I think that Mr. Christopher should be here so that the public can see who's been nominated to the zoning hearing board.
Can I make a comment?
With that,
Please.
He was here on Monday of last week, so you would have had the opportunity also to ask him questions at that time.
well, I think that means that we're here tonight at this hearing, he should also be here so that these questions could be asked.
Thank you, Reverend Shell. Are there any other public comments? Mr. Harris?
Mr. Roya?
Aye.
Ms. Baker?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. Thank you. That brings us to Council Resolution number 63, 2021. Mr. Harris?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster appointing Michaela Allwine, 657 West Chestnut Street, as a member to the City of Lancaster Zoning Hearing Board for a 3-year term effective January 1, 2022.
Mr. Harris, at this time, I would like to table this until the first quarter of next year. And I do have Mr. Delth, if he'd like to add to that.
Second.
Actually, Ms. Diaz, we need a motion on the table, and then the motion to table becomes a secondary motion. So it has to be a motion to approve first.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
You have a motion and a second.
Now a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Okay. We have a motion to table. A
Second.
Love that.
Fabulous. We'll get there.
Sorry.
Director Delps, please.
Don't be sorry. That's why you're here.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. This will just take a couple of moments. I just wanted to clarify that the current, one of the current members of the Zoning Hearing Board, Mr. Rudy De Laurentiis, his term is actually not officially, does not officially conclude until December of 2022. Mr. De Laurentiis does want to resign from that post in the first quarter of next year. And the intent is that Ms. Michaela Allwine would take his position at that time. We just ran into a little bit of a timing issue, and so this will just be a short delay. We assume this will come back before council in February, but we can certainly update you on that timing as we go. We did communicate this to Ms. Allwine, and that's why she was not here tonight.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Any other council comments on the motion to table? Any public comments on the motion to table? Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Beke?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
President Smith Waddell?
Aye. Thank you. That brings us to Council Resolution number 64, 2021. Mr. Harris.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Lancaster appointing Whitney K. Davis, 563 Pershing Avenue, as an alternate member to the City of Lancaster Zoning Hearing Board for a 3-year term effective January 1, 2022.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilor Diaz.
Yes, we have Whitney Davis, that she is available to speak to us today and address City Council. Would you like to step up to? I was going to say.
Good evening, Ms. Davis.
Hello, good evening. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the zoning board. I know I'm just an alternate, but while I'm here, my main focus is going to be on parking and trying to, not trying, but reviewing the maps and trying to come up with a solution to fair and equal parking all over Lancaster. But I feel as though the Southeast is the first and now most affected by the limited parking. I just want to be able to bring some justice to my neighbors or not justice, but some equality to my neighbors and hopefully get the community involved with understanding how severe the parking issues are in Lancaster, primarily in the Southeast. Hopefully to have the opportunity to work with the Parking Authority and the Department of Public Works as well, so that as we bring all agendas into play, there's just communication going on with everyone and everything. I was severely affected by parking this year, and which brought about my interest to get more involved with the city. I'm happy, and I just want to be able to make sure that my neighbors have somewhere to park and aren't getting unfairly fined.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other council comments on the nomination?
Yes, Mr. President. So thank you so much. You don't have to come back up here. It's okay. Thank you so much for the work that you're about to be doing. And like you said, you will be trying, and we're all trying. That's really what we're doing. But I think your perspective that you're bringing in around bringing more opportunities for parking in the Southeast is a conversation that we've seen come here before council. So I'm excited to see that conversation continue in the work over there.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I want to thank you too, just for getting involved and seeing that there's a need, recognizing that there's a need and doing something about it. So thank you.
I will note that Ms. Davis has actually already been influential on the passage of a city ordinance, which we discussed last month. Are there any comments from the public on the nomination? Ms. Byrd and then Reverend Shelton.
Darlene Byrd, 200 block of South Ann Street. I'm very excited about Whitney getting to be on the zoning board. Very excited. She is a voice in our community. She has a lot of compassion, and we need a representative. I mean, I know she's only an alternate, but I know that her voice will be heard on the zoning, and as issues come, she will be sharing that with the community, and that's a part that we think we've been missing. And so we're excited about her being there.
Thank you, Ms. Byrd. Reverend?
Just as Darlene had just said, that we also welcome her on the zoning board. She has been very forthful and outspoken words concerning parking and other issues in the community. So we are delighted to have her and looking forward to her not only being an alternate, but a full council member.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, watch this. Hearing none, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Arroyo.
Aye.
Ms. Beke?
Aye.
Ms. Craig?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia Molina,
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
And President Smith-Waddell.
Aye. There you go, Ms. Davis.
And just as a note, that resolution will be renumbered 63 since the previous one was not approved.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Don't know what we'd do without him. And thank you, Councilor Diaz. That brings us to our second public comment period, which is reserved for comment about issues not on the agenda. The rules are again as follows. Comments must be limited to 3 minutes in length. I forgot on the last two comments, but I always need your name and your address, but have at.
Just in case I forgot, my name is Ivan Acosta Velez. I live at 804 Highland Avenue, Lancaster. I've lived here 45 years. Most of some of you are not that old. That's how long I've lived here. And I taught English at Willow Street Tech, and I'm using my minutes up. Here's my concern. Homeless. Christmas is coming. I went downtown. 33 I could count under the eyes of the commissioners. 33 people that don't have a place to wash, people that a lot of excuses that we can say. I suggest to council, a lot of cities in Puerto Rico, a small island, Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, a lot of the mayor's not here, but a lot of the mayors are getting houses downtown to help with the following. Social Security. We need to look. If I count 33 and it was cold, okay, I wish I would have had a big home. I would have. You're going to sit near a Christmas tree. You're going to have a lot of food with your family. Think about the homeless in the city, okay? They're not going to vote for you because they're not registered yet. But someday they'll be registered. And those 2 votes that you help now might be the 2 votes that'll help you win. Think about it. Christmas is coming. We can say, Hosanna, Hosanna. But let's help these homeless people. I wish I was in council. I'll make sure we would help them. Please think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Microphone was off. Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Gary Ziffer. I've been a resident at 319 North Queen Street, and my wife's a business owner, owned a retail shop for 32 years, and I have my practice there. I'm a CPA. I'm here, but I'm comfortable to be here to tell you about our newest neighbor, the Legacy Lounge at 317 North Queen Street. It's a BYOB club, opened October 1st, offering DJs and music, adult entertainment, hookah, and other late-night activities. The mayor's office, zoning, health, fire marshal, police, the PLCB are all aware about this club and some of the issues that we've been facing. The facility is leased by the Dragueris companies to 3 individuals. I won't mention their names. According to the PA Unified Judicial Systems web portal, one of them has 2 felony convictions for manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance and carrying a firearm without a license, along with multiple misdemeanor and summary judgments for fighting and disorderly conduct. This individual was shot on December 4th, 2021, a week ago Saturday at 2:18 in the morning in the parking lot on North Queen Street between the Keppel Building and Northgate condominiums after coming out of his club. The business opened without securing any city permits, including BYOB permit pursuant to Section 88 of the City Code. They obtained no health department, fire marshal inspection, PA labor and industry inspection, or any other approval prior to occupancy and opening. They generally open around midnight, close from 4 to 6 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights and various other weeknights. They are in violation of every section of Section 88 of the BYOB ordinance. The facility has not had this facility at 317 has not had liquor sales, not this club, but the property, since 1996 when Tom Payne's burned down. We were neighbors at that point too. Drew Garris has owned it since that time, but sold a liquor license in 1996, did some renovation and leased it out as offices and a barber shop at that time. So for 25 years, it has not been a restaurant or bar or had liquor sales. If there's liquor sold or consumed in the building on a commercial basis, then it should meet the current building code, including having a sprinkler system. We have suffered property damage from 1996 fire and Steve Murray's building fire 10 years ago. Heavy damage. I'm not interested in living through a third fire because the city failed to enforce its own fire code regulations. There are currently 20 noise ordinance violations in 2 months, of which 11 have been issued since the city issued a permit on November 10th for the club to operate as a non-alcohol social lounge. The permit is meaningless because it has continuously been operated with BYOB. There are also 7 citations for fighting and disorderly conduct. There's a substantial amount of noise at all hours of the night when the patrons leave, not to mention the noise that my wife and I put up with 3 to 4 nights a week because it echoes through our property because of how we're situated next to them. The club, which has well over 100 patrons inside at a time, has a single bathroom. I have security videos of men walking out of the club to urinate on North Queen Street, then returning to the club, presumably because there's only one unisex bathroom in this facility. My wife and I don't sleep 2, 3, 4 nights a week. We're the primary beneficiaries of what I consider to be an illegal club whose owners have no regard for the neighborhood of the city of Lancaster. They believe they have vested a right to do whatever they want, regardless of who they hurt in the process. We met with the proprietor on 9/30/21, the day before he opened. He disingenuously offered to pay us money to put up with the late noise from the club. Then, after being told we needed sleep, not money, he told us that he had the right to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and would. And he has. We are grateful to the city police for doing what they can despite having little authority other than to issue citations for noise ordinance violations and disorderly conduct. They have been extremely helpful. This isn't the first and won't be the last BYOB or similar club to open here. The West King Street Club in the old firehouse was closed last year after a gunfire on King Street and police and PLCB intervention. These clubs have proliferated the region, including Harrisburg, York, and Lebanon. Lancaster needs to deal with this now. On a very personal note, I feel like my wife and I have a big target on our backs. That's why I said this is uncomfortable to be here. This is an extremely bad position for us. We've been turned upside down, and we have substantial financial investment and 33 years of our lives on the 300 block of North Queen Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ziffer. If you would, I assume Mr. Harris already has your contact information?
No, does he?
You would have filled out the form to register to make public comment if you filled it out of the...
No, that was the initial, not at the end. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, Mr. Ziffer, you had.
I had an emergency
a couple weeks
that night.
ago.
Yes.
So I still have that information.
It was a bad night, so I apologize. Thank you so much.
You are just fine. Just wanted to make sure we had the capacity to reach out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments this evening? I saw Reverend Shell first, so Reverend Shell and then Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis?
My question was in regards to last week's meeting, when they were speaking on the budget. It's not specifically on the agenda, but he was speaking about how the police overspent this year. It was a significant amount of money that was overspent, and I just am concerned about that because they get a pretty significant amount, more than half of our tax dollars. So I'm just concerned as to how are they overspending so much money when they're given the most money. We have other entities such as like, the ambulance services and fire department that could use those dollars as well, especially with there being so many volunteer firefighters putting their life on the line for such a dangerous job. As a military veteran, I know what it's like to put my life on the line. I did so when I did a tour in Iraq. And, it comes off as a little bit of a smite to see the police overspending when we have homelessness and poverty. The fire department is not getting as much money, but they're making it work. They didn't overspend. Just wondering what the police department is doing with those dollars. And also before we, since we know, per the budget, gentlemen, that we're looking at a pre-foreseen deficit, how are we going to avoid that instead of just walk head first into it, saying like, we know we're going into debt and hey, we know, how do we stop that? We got 5 years to prevent that from happening, as well as, are there any assets that the police department possess that can possibly be sold or pawned or something of that nature to contribute to this debt?
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Council President? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
Yes,
interrupt.
of course, Councilor Beke. I
No.
just want to briefly,
Yeah.
first of all, you are now forever the budget gentleman.
Yes.
That is Mr.
That's a lot better than the alternative.
Fair enough. Yeah, Mr. Hopkins can provide additional specifics. And I also think that before you comment, Reverend Shell, Councilor Beke was wishing to speak in response.
Sure.
Counselor.
No, I just wanted to, I wanted to clarify, I think there are two things, and I think that Mr. Hopkins can provide some additional information, and I'd love to just send this to you, because it is available in that budget presentation that I was mentioning earlier. The deficit for police specifically is within a separate fund within the general budget. And that is for healthcare costs, which are very unpredictable. And so in some years, they've had a surplus, and in some years, they've had a deficit. There's a really helpful chart that I'd love to send you. And so that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a great opportunity for discussion offline.
Yep.
And also I think in your general favor, perhaps the counselor with the most incisive questions into the budget is also your public safety chair, which is Councilor Garcia Molina. And so always worth having a conversation with. Reverend Shell.
This is not a comment, but it's just a congratulation. As of the November election, I did call the mayor and congratulate her for her success, being to be reelected as mayor of Lancaster City. And I just want to congratulate every council member as well for their being reelected and their much support and hard work along with the mayor. And wish you success, and I will be here looking after you.
Well, we need someone to do that, so thank you, Reverend. All right, going once. Going twice. Okay. That brings us then, I do not believe we have a report from the mayor this evening unless one was forwarded therefrom. Okay. I do not have a report this evening. Council comments.
Council President?
Please.
So to Reverend's earlier point and my earlier point from the beginning of the meeting, I think it'd be beneficial if, as a council body, perhaps we had a discussion at some point to discuss how often we wanted individuals that were coming up for nominations to come before council, to have an opportunity both for ourselves to engage in that conversation and for the public. I received a lot of questions regarding that process this week, and so I think it would just be beneficial if we just clear process for people that are coming before us. Thank you.
Please.
I wanted to say that when we have nominations, I make it a point to ask Bernie to have them come so they can address city council. So depending on who that person is, if it's on a reappointment, I still think that they should come in case somebody does have a question related to their reappointment. So unfortunately, some do come and some don't.
Thank you to both of you. And I think actually the place where that policy could be set, we don't have a legal requirement that someone appear to be nominated, but if it so please the members of the Personnel Committee to require their appearance, I think that should just be a part of outgoing communications, that indeed they're not being asked, but are expected to attend if possible. So the three of you sort that amongst yourselves, and then I would communicate that to Mr. Harris. Actually, you should probably discuss it at the next committee meeting so that we don't violate the Sunshine Act. Just caught that on the back end. Any other council comments?
Council President, I just want to say that I'm really pleased to see so many people out tonight for council meeting. Encourage the rest of your neighbors and friends to come out so that we can have more robust conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there are no other council comments, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
President, may I say that I want to wish all council members and everyone here a Merry Christmas.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Reverend Joe.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.